David sat down heavily. Everyone else is buying. Sarah from work just got a place for $430,000. Everyone else is also one layoff away from losing everything, Rachel said. I don't want to be everyone else. David stared at the flyer for a long time. The yard looked so nice, the fence, the finished basement. But Rachel was right. They couldn't afford it. Not really. The bank would approve them, the paperwork would go through. And then they would be trapped. 2 incomes fully committed, no backup plan, no way out. For the first time, David said something neither of them had admitted out loud. Why does making more money feel like falling further behind? The answer arrived through a podcast Rachel listened to while folding laundry. An economics professor was being interviewed about a book written 20 years ago called The 2-Income Trap. The author was Elizabeth Warren, back when she taught bankruptcy law at Harvard. Rachel stopped folding and listened more closely. The professor explained Warren's central finding. 2-income families were actually more likely to go bankrupt than single-income families from a generation earlier. Not because they were irresponsible, because the entire economy had been restructured around them. Rachel found the book that night and read the first 3 chapters before falling asleep. The argument was brutal and clear. In the 1970s, most families had one income. They bought houses based on that one income. But as women entered the workforce in huge numbers, families suddenly had double the purchasing power. What happened to home prices? They got bid up. A lot. And once 2-income families became the norm, 2 incomes became the baseline requirement. You now needed 2 salaries to afford what 1 salary used to buy. The same thing happened with schools. Since public schools are funded by property taxes, families started bidding up home prices in neighborhoods with good schools. They used their 2 incomes to outbid each other. The price of admission to a decent elementary school became a $400,000 mortgage instead of a $200,000 mortgage. You weren't paying private school tuition, but you were paying the same amount through your housing costs. And once you signed that mortgage, you were locked in. You couldn't go back to 1 income. The trap had closed. Rachel closed the book and looked around their apartment. This was exactly what had happened to them. They hadn't made bad decisions. They had made the only decisions available inside a broken system. The next evening, Rachel walked David through the most disturbing part of the book. It wasn't about housing. It was about the second income itself. She grabbed a notebook and drew a line down the middle. Let's say the second income is $55,000, she said. That's roughly what I make. Now watch where it goes. First, taxes. Because the first income fills up the lower tax brackets, the second income gets hit at a higher rate. Federal, state, payroll, call it 32%. That $55,000 becomes $37,400. Next, childcare. Their preschool costs $1,100 a month. That's $13,200 a year. Subtract it. $37,400 becomes $24,200. Next, commuting. 2 cars, 2 commutes, double the gas, double the maintenance, plus parking downtown where Rachel works. That's about $7,000 a year. $24,200 becomes $17,200. Then there are the hidden costs. 2 exhausted working parents means less cooking at home, more takeout, more delivery fees, more pre-made meals from the grocery store. It means paying someone to clean the apartment because neither of them has the energy on weekends. Rachel and David had never tracked this category carefully, but she estimated it added at least $6,000 a year compared to a household where one person had time. $17,200 becomes $11,200. So my $55,000 salary, Rachel said quietly, nets our household about $11,000 a year. That's about $4 an hour, less than minimum wage. David stared at the numbers. And if we had a second kid, that net would be 0 or negative. Rachel nodded. We're working twice as hard as our parents did, and we're getting almost nothing for it. Rachel finished the book over a weekend. When she closed the back cover, she looked at David and said, We need to change everything.